Instant impact, dramatic foliage, lush look, fast growing, ticking so many boxes. The name of the plant we are going to talk about is Alocasia Macrorrhiza, and I have it just here. So this is actually quite a young plant. It still has amazing looking leaves. We also call this plant giant taro, or we call it elephant's ear, and this is the one which can grow up to 4.5 meter tall given the right conditions. So today we are going to talk about, if you are in a hot country, how to plant it and care for it, and if you are in a cooler climate country like UK, how to plant and care for it. So let's start that. So first rule, right plant, right location. If you are from a hot country, temperatures are so really high there, and alocasias don't like to be in full sun. The best thing is part shade. If you can't find part shade, east facing side of the garden is fantastic for alocasias, because early morning sun is the best. It's not going to burn them, and they're still going to get all the light they need to produce these beautiful foliage. But now it comes to cooler climate countries like UK. It's the opposite story for us. We have to look for the sunniest spot in the garden, because we don't hit into 30s that much. It will be rare day that we are in 30 degrees Celsius. We are always in 20s, early, mid or late. But we don't get to 30s, so simply full sun will reward our alocasias with beautiful leaves. In terms of part shade, that's I am testing this time. I'm going to put it one in part shade, and I'm going to put one in full sun, and I want to see actually how it goes, part shade versus full sun. So I will keep an update on that. So once we have really sorted the location, second most important thing is the soil structure. Alocasias, they really love water. At the same time, we always want to have a free drainage soil. Actually, alocasias can grow in bog areas, but if you are not growing it in bog areas, we cannot overwater it. It will just die. So it's all about the conditions what we start with. If you are going to use it in a pot, before I go to the soil structure, I really want to emphasize on the pot size here. Usually if you are going for a pot, you will go a size bigger or two size bigger. Alocasias, they grow real fast. So if I was planting it in a pot, I am going to go 3 size bigger. So let me actually just show you the rooting, how small this plant is and how big the roots are. So as you know, this is quite young plant, and if I just pull this up, you can see how big the rooting system is. So if I had to put this in a pot, my pot size will go right here. So I am adding another 50% onto it. So really talking 3 sizes at least up. That will save me further potting. And now we're going to talk about the potting media, if you are growing in the pots, or the soil structure if you are going to put it in the ground. This is I have learned from my previous mistakes. I have made so many in the past. Compost is a bad idea by itself. It's just my neighbor's daughter. She's so cute. Okay, so if I had to put it in a pot, I will go 3 sizes bigger, and I will not just use compost because that dries up quickly. This plant loves moisture. So in order to get moisture, I'm going to top my compost with the topsoil, and I'm going to add a lot of a farmyard manure or worm castings as well, and worm castings. So the more organic matter I can give in a pot, that means it will retain moisture. It has got really good aeration, and if I'm giving it a sun, it's going to produce a lot of giant leaves, and that is the whole point. If I compromise on the quality of the soil I am doing, no matter how much feed I give, I'm not going to get much more results, because when you give feed to your plants, you want your soil to absorb that and give it to the roots when they need it. So if I'm not giving that structure to it, no point me feeding to the plant. So that's pot. Of course, just want to add that in pot, aeration is a lot more necessary, because if it can't have good aeration, roots don't have much breathing space. That means the plant is not that much healthy and it doesn't grow much faster. So you can add perlite if you choose to. I normally tend to add a lot of manure, which does work as aeration, and I do add worm castings as well, which again do work as aeration. I never use perlite in my outdoor gardening. Moving on to, if you have got clay soil. Clay soil, I love clay soil, especially for tropical plants, because it has the properties to retain moisture, nutrition, and I have to water far less. I mean, if I'm going away, I don't have to worry that much about my plants. But if I am planting this alocasia, because it's not fully hardy, it means it needs winter protection. I need to think that ahead before I put it in the ground. So I will be digging a hole, which I normally wouldn't dig a big hole. I will be putting in fresh topsoil, farmyard manures, or worm castings, whatever I have available. Simply, when it comes to winter, it's so loose soil and so free that I can just dig it and lift it up. So that's one benefit. Second, because it's going to have so much loose new structure I have given, roots can go freely in each direction and spread its wings and reward this plant with beautiful foliage. So that's the other reason I will do a big hole. If you have got sandy soil, that means you will need to do a lot of water, because it's always going to be thirsty. I have not actually have much experience with the sandy soils, because I am blessed with the clay soil, but I will assume that you will need to add a lot of manure into your soil if you can, just to change the structure. Or if you think your soil is not that good, I always opt for then raised beds. In raised beds, I can have the structure I want. It just makes my life easier, and it gives me more freedom over what kind of plants I can grow. So once we have sorted our soil structure, which is really important for this plant, the third thing now comes down to the feed. I do two options. First, I always use slow release fertilizers, because sometimes I forget to feed my plant, and if I know I have a mixed slow release fertilizer into the soil structure, I feel a bit more relaxed that at least something is there. That's one thing I do. Second, every other week or every 3 weeks, I will give it a liquid feed. So I usually use seaweed extract, because it's so cheap to buy, and I will just go all around the border and give every single plant, and I will drench their leaves with the seaweed extract liquid watering can, so that they get a lot more nutrition and they can put on a lot more growth. Now it comes down to what happens when it's winter and you are in a cooler climate country. So unfortunately, this plant can't take frost, and they are really said to be doing well up to 10 degrees Celsius. But there is this website called Big Plant Nursery, and they have got really good articles about plants. I love reading about plants. So if you try their website, and they have mentioned that it has learned to take up to 0 degrees Celsius. So I don't think that I'm going to give them winter protection at least until November time, because that's when I'm going to hitting 0 degrees or just short of 0 degrees. Depending on how the leaves are responding, I will be protecting it. If you have got indoor space, you can, if it's potted, it's super straightforward, easy. You just take it indoors, or you can put it in your conservatory. But I don't have any of that, and I'm not putting it in a pot. It's going to be in a raised bed. So I'm going to treat it like dahlia or in satay, dig it up, cut the leaves, and just to store it, because I simply don't have space. But I will shoot a video once I get to that stage. Right now I'm so excited to plant these, and I really hope that it was useful. You can always share your comments. Thank you so much. See you next time.